You are watching an episode of Sinspired on The Faithful Sinners.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Faithful Sinners, the podcast where we as faithful sinners navigate this messy thing we call life with a little bit of clarity and a whole lot of grace. Now, if you're new here, our mission is simple. We're here to sin, but that's sharing, inspiring, and navigating with one another. Because we want to spark a light for believers and offer a hand to those that are still searching, all while keeping it real, grounded, and never overbearing. And on today's episode of Sinspired, I would like to discuss breaking generational curses. Now, this is a tough discussion in a sense, because if you have grown up where you had parents that were involved and engaged in your life, that's fantastic. But if you had parents that were directing your life as opposed to being involved in your life, that's not so fantastic. I grew up with having loving parents, but I also recognize that my father's involvement really was at his leisure. His involvement didn't come at great expense to his own life. His involvement came when it was convenient. And I say that because I don't want my kids to feel like I feel when they get older. I want them to feel like they had a father that was there for them, that loved them, that supported them, and was on their side all the time, and was helping them to strive and achieve desires of their life, not me trying to project what I would like to see in their lives. And that's not easy to do because as parents, we love our kids. We want to make sure that they have the opportunities that maybe we did not have when we were younger. But it's a fine line. We need to make sure that we are not pushing our desires onto our children and letting our children grow up and make their own decisions. I also look at it as being kind of a change maker or a chain breaker, because I am trying to break away from how I was raised to raise my children even a little bit better. Now, it doesn't mean my parents did a bad job, because as parents, none of us have a handbook. None of us really understood what we were getting involved in until we were there. So you can never, fault a parent for doing their best. But you can look at where could things be better. And that's what I'm striving to do for my children. I look at a verse in Romans where it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." Now, it doesn't mean that my uh, parents or my father was evil, but I do believe that the guidance wasn't necessarily in my best interest or necessarily even in the guidance in which God instructs us to provide to our children. It was more guidance out of convenience and personal desires. So, as I raise these three children, I know I'm not perfect, but I know that I can be better every single day. And that's what I strive to do. So, my challenge to you is, if you are a parent, take today and reflect on how is it that you're guiding your children? Are you guiding them out of a desire of your own? or are you guiding them towards what their desires are in their lives? It's a tough subject. It's not easy to be a parent, that's for sure. Um, I feel oftentimes that I fail miserably, but I don't give up. And that's one of the biggest things I would have to say is for you fathers that are out there that may not be actively involved in your children's lives. They need you there. Kids need their dad. And when they don't have a father in their lives, we've seen what statistically happens. So I challenge all of you fathers that are out there, be the dad that your kids need. Be the dad that you wish you had. And that way we can all move forward in our lives, strengthened and emboldened with the love of our family. So thank you very much for tuning in today. And I ask that you continue to seek, keep growing, and remember, we all sin better together.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Faithful Sinners, and make sure you check us out at thefaithfulsinners.com.